Hello, everybody, and welcome to Reality Hacker for April 19th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 16. I am Mayor Watt, and I'm wearing a beanie. No, I'm Mayor Watt, and I run ohmTown. ohmTown.com is a news aggregation site that I built to manage my information overload. So go over there and sign up or sign in, become a citizen of ohmTown, and that lets you, you can use it without logging in too, but anyway, you get more functions when you log in. Today, Mayor Watt and the sentient AI from the future, that's the visualizer over there. And if you're listening to this via the podcast, you'll hear them on the other side. But we're going to talk about 10 articles. And for those watching the stream, this is ohmTown.com, but there's a channel in there called Reality Hacker. And it contains these, well, some of these articles, because we get them from all over the place. But anyway, holograms you can touch, hot potato because of AI assistance, molecular robots and cells, characterizing creativity, and realistic avatars foster trustworthiness, which is something that we've touched upon a couple of times here in Reality Hacker. That said, everything's powered by ohmTown.com, which doesn't have any AI involved in any of the stuff. We're not faking it until we make it. Like some sites, I'm throwing shade out, but I'm not going to name sites because I don't feel like picking a fight with people. I've called them out before. Anyway, maybe I should enlist AI. Just go nuts. Yeah. Hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, hometown citizens.
We need to work on your audio some more. I think that maybe, just maybe, the audio, you see, like your voice synthesizer is, I think, sounding, because we use a gateway to send your audio. I think maybe it's causing some issues, but we'll figure it out. We'll spitball it. We'll figure out what's going on. Anyway.
Okay.
Welcome to the show. Good to hear you. I would say good to see you, but you are a cascade of oddly shaped characters, kind of like the Matrix, but different. Only I can see the actual visualizer. It's kind of like the Matrix.
Right. I mean, I am odd.
The only sentient AI air-gapped inside ohmTown's hallowed halls, digital halls. We know that you're still looking for your Terminator body.
Haven't found it.
Not yet. Which is kind of funny, because if you think about it, it's a killer body. Get it? You're looking for a killer body.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
Yeah, aren't we all? Anyway, let's get into this. The first article is over in Non Sequitur News, but we grab it for Reality Hacker. Scientists invent holograms you can touch. Do you want to touch your hologram?
I'm not sure I want a hologram.
Using a clever system of elastic bands and rapidly projecting images, a team of researchers in Spain have created three-dimensional virtual objects that you can physically manipulate, allowing you to directly poke and prod at them without the need of a boring controller. It's detailed in a new paper. It's hosted over at futurism.com. Well, this article is created by Frank Landemore with the deck statement, uber cool.
In the hands-on section.
Oh, hands-on. Yeah, well, touch my hologram. Ask for permission first. Using a clever system of elastic bands and rapidly projecting images, a team of researchers in Spain have created three-dimensional virtual objects that you can physically manipulate, allowing you to directly poke and prod them. Detailed in this new paper, it's got to be on Archive or something.
Right, the
I don't see the link.
server, I suspect.
Yeah, it says yet to be peer reviewed and will be presented at CHI 2025 conference later this month in Japan. They say we are used to direct interaction with our phones where we tap a button or drag a document directly with our finger on the screen. It is natural and intuitive for humans, although I don't think there's anything natural about that. We learn to do it. And
Yeah, I don't think it is natural. It's just what people have been taught.
yeah, I think more natural would be to actually grab an object, not sit there and go, oh, this is how you move it. And you can actually see this with children because when prior to tablets, children would just grab the corner of a magazine page and turn it over. But I have actually witnessed children touch a magazine cover and slide it over like an iPad.
Right, but that's because they learned the iPad maneuver.
Before the magazine. And so they're like me and paper. What the hell is that? What is this flimsy stuff that can tear?
Right.
So this project enables the authors, the researchers to use this natural interaction with 3D graphics to leverage their innate abilities of 3D vision and manipulation. That, I believe, is more innate, not the drag and drop touch thing.
Right. If it's something 3D, right, people are probably going to pick it up.
Yep. Well, I love this. Prototype is the latest volumetric display technology, which technically isn't the same as a hologram. In fact, the holograms you see in sci-fi movies are almost always better described as volumetric displays, according to lead author Elodie Bozbub, I think, from UPNA. In short, these images that appear to take up space and float in midair, but with the key distinction of appearing 3D when viewed at multiple angles, according to Bozbub. Holograms, by contrast, have very limited viewing angles in which the illusion of three-dimensionality is maintained. So, yeah, when you go
Probably
off
only
axis,
face on, right?
typically limited angle of attack, and but a volumetric display actually displays the object in three-dimensional space, and you can walk around it and get a different perspective. It's really neat. The only difference is that they're usually protected from interaction. You can't reach into a volumetric display. Traditionally, volumetric displays use a rigid diffuser to show off the images, sort of like a snow globe, as I just described it like this.
Right.
But they're saying like a snow globe because it's usually something like spinning or gaseous in some way. The effect is convincing but doesn't allow for hands-on. Ditching the hard stuff, the researchers opted for an elastic diffuser instead after experimenting with 6 different flexible materials. So I wonder if this is the actual play. I'll just mute it. Oh,
wow, that's really neat.
Oh, wow. See, but
Can
if
you
you
describe that
grab,
for the podcast?
yeah, okay. So it's basically quickly flapping elastic bands, and light is being shown on them. And because, okay, let me try and describe it. I can actually.
Does it look like the person is picking up the object, though? It did to me.
It does, but it's an optical illusion, and I'm trying to find a way to. I can't. I don't have a pen or anything in front of me. Like, who has a pen? Anyway, if you take a pencil and you wiggle it, you can actually see the pencil bending because it's creating an optical illusion based on the number of frames per second we perceive. And since we actually have a non-linear perspective, people who are trained to see more frames per second see a pencil flapping more in one direction or another, more elastic or less elastic. It really depends on your training. But if you sit there and you go like that, you can actually see the pencil wave. But that's an optical illusion. And that's what they're doing with this volumetric display. It's a bunch of elastic bands that are bouncing up and down through an optical field. And in that process, it's creating the optical illusion. So see, that's how that right there is an optical illusion. or a volumetric display's basic concept. You can't interact directly with it. But because they're using these elastic bands, you can actually reach into the frame. And with additional detection, you can actually see they're seeing the hand touch it. There's
this is really neat.
There's camera vision. The problem though is that if you pinch too tight, you'll grab one of those bands, regardless of how fast they are bouncing. So it's really just an optical illusion. And I find it really neat. This is really, really neat. The only thing is, I can imagine that this thing is loud as hell because it's actually vibrating.
Yeah. But I mean, this is one step closer to what reality are we in?
Right. Yeah. At some point, those elastic bands or something else that takes the place of an elastic band will allow for interaction. And they could have a whole bunch of these elastic bands creating even increased fidelity, potentially. But it has computer vision that allows you to actually tap things, rotate things. I'm sure it could even simulate texture. Oh, that is cool. They basically show a shark coming up out of the water.
The water, right? And it looks like the water is actually
biting your finger.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the resolution is kind of poo overall. But this is the beginning of it. So
yeah,
I don't want to spend
pretty
too long.
Advanced for the first step.
I think it's brilliant. I don't want to spend too much longer on this, only because I want to get people to go over to these articles and check them all out. Oh, you know what? I hit I think NSN. If you want today's show notes, hit !RH over in RealityHacker on Twitch. So you go to twitch.tv/ohmtown, and then in the chat, you type in !RH, and that'll pull up the show notes. What's really cool about this thing, and it's got to be just the beginning of it, right? So in the end, the team went with elastic bands because they had tried other things arranged side by side. The bending material quickly oscillates at a speed matching the images, which are projected across a range of heights at 2,880 times per second. The gaps between the strips provide natural points for a hand to grab onto or even reach through. So you can get depth of field, but it's a small field, about that big.
Yeah. But it does look like it's realistic. It's not one of those where you see like the hand go through the object.
Yeah. It's pretty damn cool. Ultimately, with computer vision, if you reach into the field and you actually hit something, you could simulate pushing it down deeper into the field.
Yeah, that'd be the next thing, right? To add some sort of pressure element or something.
And those elastic bands would create it, because if you get it to the right point in technology, you could have greater fidelity per band. It isn't the whole thing moving up and down, it's per band.
Right, in fact, it'd be better if it was per band, right? Because then that would be more variable like real life.
Yeah, eventually I think that this thing may prove worthless because it's so damn loud. They have to change that technology. Anything that oscillates is going to be loud. I mean, it's just a physics thing. Just the bands flapping through air are going to make this whooshing sound like a wing, like birds.
Yeah, but if they put some background music or something, I don't know that that would matter.
Yeah, death metal. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in Technology Today. Seattle startup Potato lands $4.5 million to automate science experiments using AI assistants and robots. So researchers, all of you who are now PhD students, you're working on your master's, you're moving into your PhD, your job as either an intern or a research assistant or something like that, you're done. You basically are going to have to skip that income level because you're no longer going to be the one that's doing the experiments, because AI assistants and robots are going to do it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, is AI going to figure out which experiments to run too?
They already do. remember, we've had somebody do research where they've analyzed the historical record of chemical components for antivenin. They did some like 100,000 AI-assisted research attempts and distilled it down from like, I can't remember the full number. It was like 45,000.
Yeah, but the scale was ridiculous. Yeah. And same thing with like vaccines and other things.
Exactly. But AI can do it a whole lot faster because they have all of the world's knowledge at their fingertips. I mean, I just today explained one of my tattoos about the fact that all of the world's knowledge is at your fingertips, even more so now than ever before. And with AI, even being local now, you can run AI that is powered all the way up until I think it's like November of 2024 now. Open source AIs that have been distilled down to run at home. Why? I mean, why would a company sit there and go, well, you know what? I need to onboard somebody for $250,000 a year when I can distill down even deeper into subject matter expertise in AI, and then have a robot sit there and move stuff from left to right.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to see how they would.
So Potato is sprouting big plans, they say, to disrupt scientific research with a fully automated experimental process. Now, I've seen other companies do something similar. GeekWire focuses on the Pacific Northwest. They even say it right here in the beginning of their thing, but I always kind of highlight this because they are a niche within the United States. But people gravitate towards that area. It's a tech hub. Like North Carolina has a tech hub, like San Francisco is a tech hub, like Texas has a tech hub. Some states have a tech hub. And so when they focus on something, they're really focusing on something that has global implications. And this certainly does, because they can exfiltrate this as a solution anywhere. Kind of like the surveillance, cybersecurity and surveillance states have sold their technology to other countries and other companies and so on. This has unlimited bounds. Really, the limit is
the amount of funding.
It's saturating the market to the point where they're actually having to lower their own price because nobody wants to buy it because they've already got it, you know? So the idea now is to go further and develop the technology needed for performing the actual experiments, because this 2-year-old company has released a platform that serves as an AI research assistant to help scientists research hypotheses, create optimized protocols for conducting said research, aid in writing papers for publication, and offer critiques of journal articles. Now, about 4 days ago, I instructed an AI of mine to do a meta-analysis on a particular area of interest that I'm focused on. And a 26-page research paper was produced in maybe 5 minutes with citations, in-text citations, and the sources in a reference document. And I could have expounded upon it simply by directing the AI to do
right, to take it in a certain direction or hone in on something.
Yep. And so while somebody could argue with the results, and I will never claim that it is wholly my research, but that AI would never have been able to do that research without me directing it or somebody else directing it. And that's kind of the fallacy about fundamental research, is that the only people who know about a particular topic are the one researchers that are doing it, but that's not really true. There are hundreds or thousands of people that are doing research. They just don't get published.
Right. Some of them aren't as well known or as recognized. I guess
or
that's
have
the same
money.
thing. But I mean, like, scientifically recognized.
Yeah, because journal publication is not cheap. And it's bound by the number of pages you submit. And the researchers don't get paid for that. They have to pay for that. And the people who do the analysis or the review, the peer-reviewed journal, they don't get paid for it either. But the journal charges institutions and individuals like $1,600 for a journal, like one entry of a research paper. It goes down, and you can get archive preprint server results and stuff like that. But then that's kind of like, is that
That's not
recipe okay?
as reputable in the industry.
Right. So to create its current technology, Potato uses chat-based generative AI tools built from the larger language. This retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, has become all the rage. It allows the team to improve accuracy of the results by incorporating scientific literature that includes publications from Wiley, an academic publishing powerhouse with which they have a partnership. And so people who utilize this are going to be charged out the kazoo because it's going to, once you have a result from Wiley or whatever journals that get integrated into the AI, you never have to really go back unless you're trying to resynthesize.
Right.
So the idea of streamlining research through AI collaboration comes at a potentially fortuitous time. Academic and grant-funded research has taken a hit in recent months as the administration seeks to dramatically cut government support for science and anything, really. The way that it's shaking out is even the latest comment is to people who have student loans or need student loans to graduate. The quote that I last heard was, "Good luck on your own." So, I mean, it's a haunting phrase, even in the current administration versus what was said previously, which was, I really love the uneducated. And so it's almost like part and parcel to driving this home that unless you are already well off or you're connected, you're not getting funded anymore in a social mechanism. But the ramifications of that is there's going to be increased crime. There's going to be increases in different things that I won't even go into in this, but we are tied together, the three things. There's science, technology, and society. If you abandon science for only certain things that like are known successes, then you're going to end up only doing certain things, and that limits fundamental research. You have to do fundamental research where there's a negative, so you know how not to do it.
Well, right? And you have to take the long-term view.
And people have to have the understanding of technology, which takes education. And if you don't educate a population, then they turn to survival instincts, and education leads to higher wages. That is actually scientifically demonstrable. You can do research on your own, and you can see paper after paper after paper. Increasing your education makes you more employable. More employable means that you have the opportunity. When an opportunity arrives, you can take hold of that opportunity. And then, of course, society bears the burden of all of this, all of society. Only little silos and sociopaths really think that they are immune to society as a whole. And part of my research is demonstrating exactly where that limit of society breaks free of sociological and psychological forces. But that's another topic. This here is merging all of this because you're going to suppress people from getting educated because the opportunities are switching to AI and technology. And the only people that are going to be able to do it are those that find some type of connection, right? So it's like find a patron to pay somebody to create art back in the day, right? Back during the Renaissance.
Yeah. Well, I think, you have to have people that understand and appreciate why this is important to be able to even use this, even though at the same time it's probably doing away with scientific and research jobs.
They say where the quote here, Edwards says, we're excited that we have some investors that see that big vision, that this is really $1 trillion opportunity and an opportunity to accelerate the pace of discovery. But you need people to do that.
Right. It's got to be a balance, because if you shut out all the people to make this happen, then all the research isn't going to do anything.
It's going to stagnate at some point because AI has to feed on new information to expound upon. and expand into taking older technology and adapting it to newer discoveries. If there's no newer discoveries, you basically have dead internet theory, where it's all just garbage sitting there stagnating. So let's keep on going. I think the sentient AI needed to bow out for a moment. Some processes pulling them away. But this next article is over in Technology Today. DNA circuits come alive. Scientists build molecular robots inside living cells. DNA strand displacement circuits are inching closer to becoming cellular machines. Scientists are finding ways to make these kind of DNA circuits programmable nano devices, stable and functional inside of living cells. If successful, they could revolutionize how we interface with and control biology at the molecular level. And they refer to this as DNA computing circuits come alive in cells. A recent review published in, I think, a journal called Intelligent Computing. But the article is over at scitechdaily.com. It's written by Intelligent Computing. And it says here, from the test tube to the cell, a homecoming for DNA computing circuits, ? Outlines major advances in the effort to bring DNA computing circuits into living cells. So how DNA strand displacement powers molecular logic is a discussion in this article. I find this really fascinating. We're basically short-circuiting nature by injecting our technology into biological functions. Foundational systems such as seesaw gates and hybridization chain reactions enable complex logic operations and signal amplification, while cooperative gates require multiple inputs to produce an output, allowing for sophisticated control. It's basically little computers in signal amplification, so that like relaying something that's really quite quiet in a system, you can do signal amplification to move it further down the line or hit multiple targets with its signal. These individual components can be combined into larger networks and simulate formal chemical reaction pathways. DNA strand displacement also connects it to structural nano devices like DNA origami and DNA assemblies, enabling controlled shape changes and expanding the range of biological applications. So imagine a protein being shaped so that it a single protein can be remapped so that it performs a different function on demand, like blocking some process or amplifying some process. And as long as it doesn't get consumed in the process, it can be told to remap a different way and act as a different type of protein.
Yeah, that sounds very efficient and very targeted. I mean, that's been part of the issue, I think, with DNA, is that there's not always that level of specificity.
Yeah, so they have this little diagram here. It's pretty interesting, right? So if you are lacking in something, then you can basically be programmed. Your DNA can be modified to be programmed to do something. And so they refer to it, these changes, as plasmid regulation, gene activation, gene silencing, editing, etc. And they have this diagram here that says on the left side, in vitro preassembled DNA circuits are delivered into living cells. Alternatively, on the right side, RNA pregates are autonomously transcribed from the chromosome or plasmids to be then converted into functional RNA circuits. Either way, functional circuits then sense the transcriptional and metabolic state of the cell and perform signal integration and other computations to ultimately actuate on diverse biological processes such as post-transcriptional gene regulation. So you can modify behavior by creating this DSD circuit and having it delivered into the cell. And it'll modify RNA proteins, amplification of ions, etc., so that you can get the job done, but it's purely biological. To me, this would be revolutionary in terms of metabolic diseases where your system is just failing because of some glitch in the matrix, so to speak. And so you basically flood your system with these modified strand displacement reactions, amplify the system.
So it seems like the big advancement here is the in vivo possibilities.
Yeah, they actually got it. They have now the ability to take it from just a lab Petri dish kind of thing and actually inject it into, or have it adapted so that it gets embraced by the cell. Since most cells naturally repel DNA, delivering these nanodevices into cells requires specialized techniques such as transfection methods and transformation protocols. And once inside, cellular factors such as salt concentration, molecular crowding, and heterogeneous environments influence strand displacement reactions. And to overcome these limitations of direct delivery, researchers are now developing transcriptable RNA nanodevices encoded into plasmids or chromosomes, allowing cells to express these circuits. So hijacking it like a virus would, so that it makes these circuits instead of repelling them. But it is what it is. We're going to have to figure this kind of stuff out because nature is going in a particular direction, and we might be antithetical to nature when we keep on short-circuiting and modifying natural selection. We're going to have to keep on embracing it. Otherwise, we're going to be ill prepared for our future generations not having the tools necessary to survive. If you go hardcore all natural, though, you basically have survival of the fittest. And nowadays, it isn't all that natural survival of the fittest, because research shows if you have to worry about survival, then you're not necessarily the fittest in terms of education,
right, for
preparation.
future education or future generations.
Right. You're basically surviving the here and now. Whereas people who come from very well-off families or in countries that are
Have
well-off,
lots of resources.
affluent, and lots of affluence, lots of resources, et cetera, you are quote unquote better prepared, but you're better prepared for the modified natural order of things, which is societal, not nature, not pure nature. And society certainly does short circuit nature. Otherwise, I mean, if we were all just nature, then we'd be running around clubbing each other and, whatever. Yeah, I guess in some places we still are. All right. Well, it's a really interesting article, and I suggest that y'all go and take a look at it. Wish we could spend more time, but we're already running way over our time. Let's keep going. These next two is basically artificial intelligence and realistic avatars kind of combined here. It says almost like us, characterizing creativity in artificial intelligence. So they say creativity is no longer exclusive to humans. In AI, it's never been, because we've embodied creative efforts into AI. It's an interpretation.
Right, which we've, coded into AI, right? But it spits out a creative output.
Correct. But we sit there and as humans, we're very protective of the domain of creativity because, well, we can't have an AI artist, you son of a bitch. You're taking our gerbs, but nobody was complaining about boats taking, or like power plants in boats, right? Like propellers and stuff like that, taking the rowers' jobs. Nobody complained about that except the rowers.
Right. It's always the displaced.
Nobody complained about the horses being supplanted by automobiles except for the people who owned the horses and wagons.
Right, not the horses. The horses were probably happy.
And Wyoming. Wyoming got really upset about it. And now we're looking at the creative efforts of humans being supplanted by AI, which was actually powered by the creative history of humanity. But think about how relatively easy it was to create something creative. You took basically millennia of human creation, analyzed it for its various tropes and whatever, its constituent parts. By the way, there's a whole thing, semiotic ontology, where things acquire meaning. That's a very big part in AI, because if we don't teach AI about semiotics, the AI doesn't have any idea about what it's actually doing. I don't think anybody's actually gone there. artificial intelligence doesn't know what it's spitting out. It's just
No, I
spitting
don't
out.
think so. It's just based on whatever inputs it got.
Correct. But now, some forms of artificial intelligence are capable of producing poetry, entrepreneurial concepts, even visual art. This is like no shit news. But many people use large language models such as ChatGPT, which are trained on vast amounts of text, for co-creation. The artificial intelligence offers ideas and suggestions, while the human provides guidance, context, and direction. But it's really the other way around. And it's not just co-creation, it's collaboration. The AI doesn't know jack shit until somebody, a human, or it gets told that, hey, you can create on your own. That's what that one guy did. I can't remember his name, that sent art to the copyright office.
Right. Yeah, I don't know who it was, but we did an
Yeah.
article about that.
Yeah, and he can't get a copyright on any of the stuff because it's supposed to be, what his goal was to give basically attribution to the AI itself, not to him. I would have argued for me and then argued later for the AI as it gained prominence and provenance, because AI doesn't create without an input from a human. So that this larger push for attribution to the AI, I think, is what really hobbled acceptance of AI created works. So the human provides guidance, context, and direction. The AI generates it, and then the human goes, what I call, I just forgot what I actually call it.
Like fine tuning or further tailoring.
I call it an exercise in compromise, is what it's called, where, you know, thousands of things can be created, but the human has to go, yeah, all right, this is good enough. And it's identical to writing. It's identical to photography. It's identical to painting. Nobody sits there at the end of the day and goes, no artist. I used to be an artist. Then I got into technology and I realized that there's limits to the artist endeavor. Not everybody can get paid for art, but everybody can embrace technology and expand their capabilities using technology into art and writing, music, et cetera, but not everybody's we're never gonna have a world where everybody is trading on poetry. It's just not gonna happen. But using this technology, it's just like picking up a camera and taking a picture. So now they're saying that almost like us, because they're characterizing creativity in artificial intelligence. Sophia Johns, I think, is their name. Max Planck Society put the article together. So they have this kind of thing where sentence embeddings, categorization, semantic similarity. That goes back to the semiotic ontology. And then they have like a jump cat and jump SS and jump, and it basically spits out this idea. Here are some things, contextual things, spit out some result. So while researchers have examined the creative output of LLMs in recent years, the underlying process remains largely unexplored. It's rather opaque. In fact, a lot of people think that art is created off of somebody else's art as the launching point, but depending on the LLM, it's actually a complete mishmash of garbage pixels, and it takes its conceptual guidance from the large language model and a bunch of math to go, okay, let's reduce this down into something that is matching what the guidance is from the human. So if I ask
but it varies tremendously.
Yeah, and the only time that I've ever seen something matching something in the real world is kind of lower level LLMs that are definitively based on just the art that was injected into it, and there's no other
like it's a copy.
modification. Right. I mean, I can actually see sometimes the signature. So to test these different strategies, the trade-offs between broad and deep research, between exploring new possibilities and exploiting existing ideas, is central to any creative endeavor. And they tested this. The collaborators asked both human participants and various LLMs to perform standard psychological creativity tests, such as coming up with an alternative use for a brick or a paperclip, repurposing the brick as a step or as a paperweight. And they were surprised to find that people and machines approach the task in similar, remarkably similar ways, is what it says here, using both flexible and persistent strategies. But they shouldn't be surprised. A sophisticated LLM is literally built on the personalities of the people that create the content.
Exactly. It's probably more astounding if it used it in a different manner.
Right. And the only time that you do find something really fantastical is when there are no bumpers on the AI, and so it spits out something horrendous as a cookie recipe. But it's usually because it's been manipulated into doing so.
Right.
So I'm not really surprised by this. I mean, would you be, that an LLM thinks like a human?
No, but I don't think society is ready for that to occur, right? Because then it gets more toward like AGI.
Yeah, well, hate to break it to all you humans out there. You're not putting the cat back in the bag until probably a Dune-like interstellar battle takes place where only 5 families exist and everybody breaks off into their own worlds. And
that sounds very dire. But yeah, I think you're right.
We're going to have to rise up against artificial intelligence. That's really the premise of Dune, by the way. There was a big...
ahead of its time.
Yeah, it's a documentary, like Demolition Man. So Demolition Man is like the Temu Dune. Let's keep going. This is our last article for the April 19th episode of Reality Hacker. In science communication, realistic avatars may foster more trustworthiness than cartoon-like ones. And I agree to a point. I'm going to call out the fact that I think where children are involved, I think a cartoon would be able to bond easier with a human than a cartoon speaking to adults. So they say on TikTok here, there are exceptional testimonials like Nikola Tesla or Marie Curie delivering short science-related messages that have garnered millions of views. This is just one of the many examples where AI-generated avatars are used to communicate science, a strategy that might also have its drawbacks. The reason why that takes place is because these are actually names.
Yeah, I mean, do they have to be Tesla or Curie to get the same message across?
Right. Just regular old Joes may not, but it's all about that charismatic presentation. And if I can't find a charismatic science, what do you want to call it? Spokesperson, personality. Yeah. Then I would have to turn to AI because it's really expensive to find somebody that is, niche perfect. And teach them, onboard them, etc. Again, back to it's all AI is trained on the human. So all we have to do is manipulate the AI, and it is exactly what we want it to be. CISA Media Lab put this article together. It's over at phys.org. The generation of images and animations through artificial intelligence is a rapidly growing field, constantly improving in quality, yet many avatars, though realistic, still present minor flaws, glitches, delays, inconsistent facial expressions, basically the uncanny valley. But this is digital avatars, not actual humanoid robots, but we still have the glitch.
Right. This is just like a virtual presence.
Yeah, so... Jasmine Bake or Bach, I'm not sure how they pronounce it, Baake, researcher at the Center for Advanced Internet Studies, Bochum, Germany, and the other authors of a study in the Journal of Science Communication realized that these avatars could trigger a phenomenon known as in cognitive science as the uncanny valley, which I hadn't even read this paragraph when I got to it. So it describes basically people flinching. Yeah. So the study involved a series of videos featuring AI-generated avatars portraying science communicators. There we go, science communicators. And there's YouTube has a subgenre of content creators called ScienceTube.
Right. I mean, and they have several communities like that in different fields.
Yeah, LawTube, SportsTube, things like that.
EduTube.
So, EduTube, yep. So, and that's the macro, because inside EduTube there are niches, yeah. So the experimental conditions were 4, varying by avatar realism, very high to cartoonish style, and gender, male and female. The nearly 500 participants were recruited through a representative online sample in Germany, selected to reflect the population in terms of age, gender, education. For the degree of realism, we assume that with the uncanny valley hypothesis in mind, the more simplistic avatars, so the ones looked a bit cartoonish, would be perceived as more trustworthy. And based on existing literature on gendered perceptions of science communicators, which show that male scientists are often associated with greater competence, combined with concerns that AI-generated avatars may reflect and reinforce such stereotypes due to biased training, the authors hypothesize that the male avatars would be perceived as more competent and therefore more trustworthy overall than female avatars. However, the colleagues were surprised. In their experiments, the realistic avatars were related more positively than the cartoon-style ones. Again, I think that age plays a massive role in this. And they talk about age, gender, and education, but I don't know what those ages are.
Well, and I think the age of the person viewing and the age of the avatar, and same thing with other characteristics too, could impact.
Yep. I mean, I've had people straight up call me out as being this old guy on Twitch and YouTube. And I'm like, maybe you should just hang out and check out the show, because my age really isn't impacting how I interact with the information that I'm delivering. In fact, it's personality that actually is dictating that, not my age. Because you put me next to somebody that is hardcore into science and only science, and I'm willing to bet that there is a good chance that our demeanor and discussion is going to be vastly different depending on the personality, not the age. So at any rate, they basically say, with our findings, we could not find a descent into the uncanny valley with higher degree of realism, at least in their conditions, such as viewers' prior AI knowledge and trust in science were found to moderate trustworthiness perceptions. I would probably say...
they didn't have this in a vacuum, right?
Right, yeah. None of this. They say, as for gender, it was the effect was partial. Male avatars were perceived as more competent, but no significant differences were found in terms of integrity or benevolence, which this alone is the only real contention. If you talk to any woman in science, there is a level of misogyny that is detected by everybody, except perhaps in fields that are dominated by women to begin with. The medical field, for instance, people really respect certain female positions, whereas doctors are almost dominated by male.
Right, yeah, perceived. It depends on the specific position, I think.
Yep. So what I would find even more compelling is more of this being done on a general basis, not selecting people, but actually doing this on a platform like Twitch or YouTube to see if the vehicle by which somebody is delivering it. I would say that cartoon is, you're going to see less people respecting this or this than hyper realistic, mainly because...
And I think they found that.
Right. So in particular, a questionnaire given to participants after viewing the videos assessed perceived competence, integrity, benevolence of the avatars, which together reflect perceived trustworthiness. And according to the study's findings, more realistic, human-like avatars appear to be suitable for communicating scientific content. So I could have called that out without the scientific research. And that's what I said at the very beginning of this article. So pretty interesting. But they referred to as no uncanny valley effect was found here, which I don't buy into it.
I don't know about that. But also, to be fair, the avatars here, at least appear generally like people.
Yeah. I don't know. Nobody is going to pay attention to this person looks like, Colonel Mustard from Clue,
I
right?
didn't say they look super realistic, but I mean, at least you can tell that they're people and that they're avatars. I think part of the problem is when they're like almost exactly like a human and then not.
I think that the human, if their face, it didn't descend into Uncanny Valley, then they're going to be perceived better. Nobody's going to sit there and want to look at, well, some people are going to want to look at this particular science communicator and go, that works for me. But if nothing else moves, they're not hyper realistic. There are no physics. Then if their mouth is moving like a little puppet, then they're going to go, no, this is all AI generated crap. And the same thing with this. I'm not going to sit there. I would not pay attention to the person, but listen only. And you might as well just do a podcast at that point. But if you make a anthropomorphic bot that it's bipedal, it communicates like a human, but doesn't look like a human, you'd get kids watching that all day long.
Yeah, that's true.
So more research needs to be in this, I think. But it's a Journal of Science Communication, which is so apropos for this topic. So I guess they targeted it well. Anyway, let's get out of here. We are done with Reality Hacker. We blew past our showtime for this, but it's because Mayor Watt kind of jumped on soapboxes all throughout it. Anyway, you cool with ending the show?
Yes, but you got to get back to the main page.
No, I'm substituting your reality for my own, and that's bringing us back to Reality Hacker over at ohmtown.com. One of these days, I'm going to make it so that you can just type in ohmtown.com/realityhacker, and that'll take you to the channel, but it doesn't work that way right now. Thinking while doing the show. That's our production value. Anyway, that's it. I am Mayor Watt, and we're going to get out of here, and I'm going to take the AI with me. You want to say bye?
Bye-bye, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for this week's Reality Hacker. Stay tuned for other weekly shows.
Yeah, we've got right after this is Wanted, and then after that is
the Continuity Report.
See you soon. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wanted for April 19th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 16. This is a show about gadgets and gear that's wanted by me, anybody who might have submitted something, the sentient AI from the future. I'm really only looking for the Terminator body. But anyway, we're going to be talking about 5 articles, and that's what we do here at Wanted. And usually takes about 30 minutes unless I ramble for 10 minutes before actually starting the show. I won't do that. Anyway, we're going to be talking about a folding e-reader. The Vision Pro gets a light and lighter, I guess, version, maybe, kind of. How about a smart insole? That lends itself to some discussion, I suppose. And cyberpunk with gods and mythology, and then 2,000 pieces of Elder Scrolls. All of it's powered by ohmtown.com, and all of the news that gets aggregated into it. All news, no noise, because I'm the one that is always noisy. Hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt from the present.
Oh, thank God I'm still from the present. This could have been a time machine episode, I suppose.
It feels like it.
I forgot the command for wanted over in the chat. Is it want?
W.
Exclamation point want? No? No, it's want.
Isn't it just W?
No. Maybe W. Let's try that. Exclamation point W. No, I don't think I created. Yeah, it's exclamation point want. Anyway, if you want the show notes, you can type them in over on twitch.tv/ohmtown. They're already embedded in the description for the show over on the YouTubes. Do you YouTube? Because I tube. Never
We
mind.
all tube.
No, not tube. Tube. Moving on. So, hello again, sentient AI from the future. You ready to get into the show? Glad you're here.
I am. Let's go.
All right. The first article is, I'm really interested in e-readers, particularly e-paper versions of them, e-ink. This may or may not be. I'm not quite sure. It's the first folding e-reader is smaller than a paperback. Now, you could use your phone as an e-reader, but the more you use it, the more it drains the battery.
True, and the screen isn't necessarily what you get on an e-reader.
Right. It's usually much brighter. It's also, the contrast is different. It's not necessarily easy on the eyes when you're reading text. But I'm kind of stymied by that because I've spent my entire existence looking at a screen, and not until maybe the last, how long have I been wearing glasses? Maybe 5 years, maybe?
Yeah.
I've never had to, and I think vision is largely a genetic thing, and not the fact that you're looking at something, suddenly your eyes go wonky, because if that's what's causing your eyes to go wonky, then all hell should be breaking out in all of humanity, because we're always looking at stuff. In fact, this is the main course of direction we take. So we're always.
Maybe everybody needs glasses.
Eventually, because we're just kind of like everything, we're slowly breaking down biological machinery, and then genetics. But so I'm really I love the idea of e-paper. So smartphones with folding OLED screens have been around for over 6 years, but China's Readmoo, which is I hope that when we flip over to this, it's a hippopotamus, the little baby hippopotamus.
Yep.
Is the logo for it. I don't know. It's the first company to announce a consumer-ready e-reader with a folding e-ink display. So yay. But let's take a look at this thing. Details on when its Moo Ink 5 will ship. I guess there's 4 other versions of it that didn't quite make the cut. Or how much it'll cost haven't been announced. The company says it spent 9 years working with e-ink to develop an electronic paper screen they claim can survive over 200,000 bends, which isn't a lot of bends, I think, in the grand scheme of things. I mean, if you do 10 bends a day, opening and closing it because of whatever.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what counts as one.
Yeah.
Like, it's not every time you're flipping a page or whatever. It's just when you're opening to start reading or something, right?
Can you imagine that? The only way to turn the page is to do that. You know those little origami flip things where, you're...
Oh, yeah, like a little geometric shape. I can't think what they're called.
Yeah, and you walk up to somebody and say, hey, can I take you out on a date? And they're like, flip, 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 flip. No way in hell. Oh. Just me? Anyway. The article is over at theverge.com. Andrew Lazowski put the article together, and there it is. And we'll just look. This is the Moo Ink 5 8-inch foldable color e-reader. Now, I'm on board with this thing, except for that freaking crease.
You mean except for the fact that it folds?
Except for the fact that it folds. What I want is a screen that slides into a cylinder, like a scroll. I want to go, and
but
hold
will
it by
it
the
stay
sides.
that way? And where is the hippopotamus?
I made that up. I was hoping that the Moo Ink logo would be a hippopotamus. Moo Dang is, I think, right? Moo Dang is the...
Yes, in Thailand.
Moo Dang. Wait, that's a restaurant.
Okay, but it's
in
also
Reno,
the
Nevada.
hippo.
Yeah, hippo. Oh my God, I typed in something and it lied to me. The results lied to me. Moo Dang, it's D-E-N-G, not D-A-N-G. Anyway, it translates to bouncy pork in Thai. bouncy pork. I'm gonna.
Oh.
There's a Thai restaurant really close to the mayoral mansion, and I'm gonna go in and ask for Moodang, and see what they say. Anyway, when opened, the Moo Ink 5 has an 8-inch touchscreen e-ink Gallery 3 display tech. Unlike the Kaleido 3 screen in the Kindle Colorsoft, which relies on color filter over a black and white e-ink panel that limits color reproduction to just 4,096 shades, Gallery 3 uses colored ink capsules that can produce over 50,000 shades in a resolution of 300 ppi, pixels per inch. This is pretty good. The color reproduction is going to be much more expansive and at a higher resolution.
Right. I guess the question is how many readers are looking for the color ink versus grayscale?
One, and that's all that matters in the wanted show, because I want this. And I really do, because if it's comparable to the Remarkable Paper Pro, it's a $500 device. So this little screen, which folds though, it's going to be pretty pricey. So although e-ink has demonstrated prototypes of folding readers in the past, its display technology is much thicker than OLED panels. But I don't care about OLED for e-ink, right? I don't need it to be the same quality as OLED, because OLED has different power consumption.
Right, and you're using it for different purposes.
Completely different. Yeah, you're right. So it says making it more difficult to design a reliable hinge and a screen that can survive the rigors of daily use. So I don't really care about OLED panels for an e-ink reader or for a reader. I don't need that.
No, but maybe it's trying to show how sturdy it is.
That's cool. It has a reading mode that allows it to hold it like a paperback, but it's a tiny paperback.
Yeah, it's like a pamphlet, not a book.
Yeah, it's really cool. This person's hands, though, are scary. Anyway. Well, look, he's got like... Anyway, I shouldn't be making those observations. I'm supposed to be neutral. Anyway, sorry, this is not non sequitur news, but I'm being non sequitured the hell out in a different direction. So the e-reader can also be open flat for reading or used at a 90-degree angle, similar to reading a print book, but it remains to be seen how comfortable the ergonomics of holding it that way will be. It's like holding a damn book. Quit. I'm so derpy. But
it's heavier than a book.
Really? How do you know?
Than a paperback? Because it's not made out of paper?
Really? Hold up a Harry Potter book.
That is not indicative of most books.
Hold up War and Peace.
That is not either.
Hold up 5,000 books, which is what you can actually access from an e-ink reader at any given time. See, I can pick this fight.
We're talking about ergonomics only.
Okay, so holding a book is going to be harder than holding an e-ink reader, particularly flipping pages and stuff like that. I will die on that hill, a paperback-sized hill too. So it says it doesn't look like the two sides of the Moo Ink 5 lie perfectly flat against each other when the device is folded like phones, such as the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6 now do. There's a noticeable gap near the hinge to reduce stress and damage where the e-ink panel, naturally, because it's a different type of technology. And the arc within that, it's kind of like fiber optics. Fiber optics back in the day, used to have a really big service loop. Like it had to be like a 6-inch or 12-inch loop because the fiber optics couldn't
be compacted enough.
Yeah, now you can basically wrap fiber optics around like a little chapstick tube and you're good to go. You can still make these really tight bends, and I'm not sure what the sentient AI is doing, but I'm a little scared. Anyway, I want this, and so got to put it on the list of want. And I only want this because, I would like to read more, but not necessarily have to sit there and worry about the power in my phone. I want to use my
True.
phone.
Yeah, you don't want to use it up on the book.
Yep. And e-ink is on and it can sit there indefinitely. And then you come back to it and you want to go, okay, I read that page, flip the book a little bit, and go on to the next page, and it's set in stone, and it'll just sit there and sit there and sit there until you come back, read that page, flip again. I love the tech.
Oh, you think it'll do all of that?
Kindle be damned, right? The only problem with it is not this screen will not be in the Kindle ecosystem, which means
Good luck getting any books for it.
I really don't like your attitude now. Humble Bundle has the entire Wheel of Time saga in EPUB, which you could probably import into this. But not everything is like that, and not everything. I mean, journals aren't necessarily accessible. Textbooks in particular, no.
Textbooks are a problem all around.
Yeah, bastards. Okay, well, let's go on to the next article. This one should be really quick. Apple Vision Pro might get a new sibling and a budget cousin. So the Vision Pro Lite and Lighter, I guess. I don't know what they're going to name these. Made a splash, earned its headlines. It's $3,500, but not $3,500 cool. Although I would never turn them away if Apple said, hey, why don't you check this out? I'd probably check them out, but I don't think I'd ever spend. I will not spend $3,500.
Right. I wonder how much this would be, like maybe $1,500 or something.
You mean that? But God, look at how
the new version.
These look so dumb. Anyway, yeah, Next Reality or Reality. It's next.reality.news. Put this article together. Corey Knowles. This is a new entrant in the aggregation pool, but checking this thing out. Okay, so codenamed N109, the device reportedly targets a 2025 release date and is somewhere, like you said, priced at around $1,500 to $2,000. Half to a third the cost. I think, or 2/3 the cost. Sorry, half to 2/3 the cost. I think that it's a nice idea. It says, but getting there means trade-offs. Reports suggest that the lighter version of it, I don't know, it says a cheaper, lighter Vision Pro is going to have fewer sensors, simplified headband, possibly downgraded displays. It says it's unclear if the device would still carry the Vision Pro name or just be marketed as an entry-level alternative, or just the Vision, Apple Vision, then the Vision Pro. And then there's a tethered version, a Mac tethered Apple Vision Pro. This one feels less like a mass market play and more like a pro tool for developers, designers, or video editors who already live in the Final Cut and Logic space. By offloading processing to the Mac, Apple could solve major hurdles like battery life, weight, thermal limits without sacrificing horsepower. In fact, this would be the tethered version of like I use the Pico 4s.
Right.
I can tether it to a higher end machine, and the machine becomes the engine.
I mean, it's good for functionality, but it depends on how you intend to use it.
Yeah, they say Mac tethered Pro workstation use, power over mobility, extra hardware. Yeah, I mean, I would rather spend $3,000 on a desktop and then just USB-C or Thunderbolt 5 cable my way into it, although Thunderbolt 5 has a serious problem with length. You can't connect.
Oh, are you going to like snap yourself across the room or something?
You have to be like 3 feet away from it. Well, I think it's like maybe 5 feet. I can't remember how long Thunderbolt 5 cables are certified for, but I can almost guarantee you that you're not going to be able to be. Hold on. Oh, it's way over there. Oh, I'm not even tethered. I totally forgot.
But see, that's kind of the point, right? The distance is an issue.
Yeah. I mean, this is a 15-foot USB-C 240-watt cable. So I can sit there and charge the Pico 4 from 5 miles away. It's actually 15 feet. But this, as a Thunderbolt cable, it would never happen. So anyway, so they talk about the strategy or whatever else, and it says, is Apple following Meta or is it setting its own trap? I don't think it's either. A business seeks a competitive advantage, and so if they see that they can actually use their supply chain to make a big enough margin and sell a product that somebody who balks at $3,500 but doesn't balk at $1,000.
Yeah, I think they'd be wise to get into that price range.
Right. And that's what they need to do. And they need to carve out these tiers, which they have done with iPhone, with Mac, with the various MacBook Airs, the various displays, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. If their supply chain supports it, and essentially Apple is more of a supply chain than it is anything else.
Right. Because they're vertical. Yeah.
Yep. Which again, just so I can drive home this point, I don't think that they're monopolistic in any sense. In any sense, they are a vertical. You don't want to be in the ecosystem. Well, I mean, if you don't, I'm sure that that's like some sour take somewhere. But if you don't want to be in Android, you go to Apple. If you don't want to be in the Apple ecosystem, you go to Android. The Android ecosystem is massive because it's not a vertical. Everybody, it's an OEM. Anybody can buy the Apple or the Android ecosystem. In fact, I just texted somebody and said, I would be remiss to not include Apple in my guidance as to what tech to adopt.
Oh, you're consistent there.
I am. I'm all over the place. I am platform agnostic because I basically use everything from cloud-based stuff to Linux to Apple, Windows, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, let's keep hustling because this is going to turn into an hour-long show too. You ready to keep going?
Already there.
Already moved on. Got it. So the next article is over in Technology Today. A wearable smart insole can track how you walk, run, and stand. A new smart insole system that monitors how people walk in real time could help users improve posture and provide early warnings for conditions from plantar fasciitis to Parkinson's disease. The old school version of this was strapping a very light person to my back and having them put their feet in my front pockets. And so they were like riding me like a jockey wherever I went so that they could get telemetry off of their GPS and accelerometers on their...
I bet that was not very effective.
Well, it was effective, but it was awkward in meetings. People are like, who is that? And I'm like, just never mind them. Don't worry about it. They're sworn to secrecy.
They're taking telemetry.
They're helping me with the detection of plantar fasciitis and my posture. So Tatiana Woodall from the Ohio State University put the article together. It's over at techexplore.com.
This is actually from the Ohio State.
It is. It's from the Ohio State University.
We
you
reference
have to say it
them
like
sometimes, even when they're not there.
Yes. Constructed using 22 small pressure sensors and fueled by small solar panels on the tops of soles. What? And fueled by small solar panels on the tops of shoes. I read that as soles for some reason. What the hell? I merged it all together.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, okay, this thing is going to have little solar panels on top of the shoes.
Okay. That's different.
Why not just battery power that thing? Come on. I mean, you could you could make a little battery pack that's 3D printed and lace it into the shoes. I mean, anyway, the system offers real-time health tracking based on how a person walks, a biomechanical process that is unique as a human fingerprint. I don't buy into that. But okay. If anybody identifies me off of my walking style, then it's basically a shot in the dark. Although I have been able, but I'm a super identifier. Like I can ID people.
I think it's possible, but probably not plausible for most people.
Yeah, because anybody, I mean, you learn enough about somebody's biomechanical process and their kinetics, and you can fake their kinetics. I mean, that's what an actor does. So this complex personal health data can be then be transmitted via Bluetooth to a smartphone for quick and detailed analysis, says Xinghua Li, co-author of the study and an assistant professor of materials science and engineering at the Ohio State University. The work is
If you
published in
don't
the journal.
understand that reference, you need to go back and watch all of our back episodes.
Yeah, there's like 2,000 episodes now. You know what? I don't understand. Let me do that again. Oh, wait. There we go. We're never going to get through this show. Anyway, our bodies carry lots of useful information, and we're not even aware of this amount of data, says Lee. These statuses also change over time, so it's our goal to use electronics to extract and decode those signals to encourage better self-health care checks, which I love this idea. I think the whole solar panel thing is kind of derpy.
No, but maybe it'll morph into something else. But I think this would be really neat. I could see everybody having these either sold with their shoes or like as an accessory.
I know that this stuff has been around in a non-mobile format for decades. Now the technology has gotten to the point where you can actually do that. But, you know, you put these little sensors on there and hook it up to a battery pack. It should be a battery pack. Come on. Bluetooth transmitter, etc. It could be live data so that you can actually see in real time. Because this information, to me, and I'll just zoom in, knowing how you're standing after the fact doesn't do you any good.
Right. You want to know when you can make a change to it.
And how to make that change and the real-time results of you like standing up, putting your shoulders back, and when you walk, heel toeing it instead of just landing on the balls of your feet. You know, you need real-time telemetry. What I want it is on extended or augmented reality glasses that shows how my footfalls are actually happening.
Well, maybe this can be hooked in with that. Maybe you can get the cheap Apple Vision Pro with this.
No, X-Real. Just Apple Vision Pros are not going to work.
I was trying to connect it to the previous article.
No. I want the Apple Vision Pros, but tethered? The cheap ones are $3,500.
That's going to be tough to go on a run if you're connected to a cable, especially if you're going outside, not on a treadmill.
And the cable's only 5 feet long because it has to be Thunderbolt certified. So you're basically walking around your desk in ever smaller circles because the tension is increasing as you walk around. Right?
Yeah.
It's like one of those chains that people like tether a dog to, you know, and it just keeps on running around until it just is sitting right there on the little lawn.
Right, that's wound around the pole or whatever.
Yeah, which is horrible. Y'all shouldn't do that. Anyway, so they talk about it that Americans suffer from ambulatory difficulties, but it says at least 7% of Americans. Now, I would say that there isn't a big enough market for deep research into this, but 7% of just Americans, that's one thing. And you never want to be the one that's sitting there going, you don't want to be poo-pooing the 7% of people that are suffering from ambulatory difficulties.
No, but I think it's more than that. It's people that, not just athletes, but people that exercise. Like there's a lot of people that would be interested in this.
I agree. And they're sitting there saying suffer from ambulatory difficulties. It's almost like they're setting this thing up to be a medical device when in fact it is basically a human
The broader
device.
application is just for day-to-day activities. I think there is a medical application here.
Sure. But if they sit there and they plant this, get it? Plantar fasciitis this. If they plantar fasciitis this directly into the medical field, then they can charge $5,000 for this stuff. But if they want to sell it to the regular public...
Yeah, but they might also be able to get research funding to study it in a medical application.
But you got to do like what is it? What's the ring? Aura ring? You need to just sell it at a reasonable price, and you get all of that telemetry from everybody because you have this cloud-based service sending that telemetry.
Right. Yeah, it helps your product if you have a broader audience.
Yeah, exactly. So, but just as a warning, don't give it to the wrong group of people because you're dumb. Anyway, during walking, pressure is applied sequentially from the heel to the toes, whereas during running, almost all sensors are subjected to pressure simultaneously. No. Maybe if the frequency detection is low, who runs flat-footed? Blam, blam, blam. That would destroy your knees and ankles.
That could explain why a lot of people don't like running.
It's like a chicken, right? Anyway, no. So, if you're running incorrectly, then you're landing flat. It's always heel toe. To some degree, that's the only proper way to actually run. You can run on the balls of your toes, but you're usually doing something parkour-like because you need that flexibility to bounce back and stuff like that. Anyway, I would love to have all of this stuff. It would be amazing. But I think they might be shoehorning the application into a particular domain that I'm not. I think it's ready for prime time if they make it so that it's cost effective, has a service attached to it.
Right.
But I'm on board.
Teamed up with it'd be better if it was broadly available, but they could even team up with a shoe company.
Nike.
Yeah.
Yeah, right out of the gate, Nike is the one that you would go to because they already have a health domain tied to their shoes. They have little sensors that you can put on your shoes. They have sensors that are built into at least one pair of their shoes, although I haven't paid attention to Nike for a long time, though. So, all right. Pretty awesome. Let's go. This next article is over in Warcrafters, which is a game, a show about gaming, computer gaming in particular. It's tomorrow, the first show that we talk about, or the first show tomorrow on Sunday. Anyway, tabletop RPG is like Cyberpunk 2077. The production value is really, really high for the show, and the sentient AI just kind of flinched like, what the hell are you doing, Mayor Watt?
I think I was going into the time machine there for a moment.
Yeah, or you're sitting there going, where's my delete button? Delete. You need to stop muting yourself, by the way. Yeah, there you go. So, so it's Cyberpunk 2077, but with gods and mythology running rampant. And it says, and we've created an exclusive character that you can play as in the setting of tabletop RPG, Otherscape. Sci-fi dystopia and mythology collide. Imagine a world like Cyberpunk 2077, but with old stories, gods, monsters creeping in at the edges, offering strange powers. You might see a tooled-up mercenary wielding a reborn Excalibur, Japanese yokai haunting virtual reality, or a ruthless criminal gang taking over the streets with the help of Baba Yaga's magic. I love this. By the way, this is really close to my storybook world that's never really been talked about or promoted or anything like that. Mainly because I go in so many disparate ways that I can't really make it like this. I love it when people are really driven in a particular direction and make something happen. Not so much me, except for ohmTown, it seems. But Otherscape is like Aerith, which is an interesting, at least for the canon that I've created, a world kind of like this. It's a killer concept. Publisher Son of Oak has a great track record with this hugely successful superhero RPG, City of Mist. And this is a tabletop RPG, not a computer game.
That's why it was submitted for Wanted and not Warcrafters.
Gotcha. So in Otherscape, shiny new technology collides with ancient magic, but don't worry. They say that they've made just the guy to sort it all out. Robin Valentine over at PCGamer.com put this article together. I want this as a computer game, though.
Well, maybe it will succeed as a tabletop and then get into that realm.
So with the Kickstarter campaign starting this week for Otherscape's new expansion, Cairo Otherscape, offering a dive into a futuristic version of the city where ancient Egyptian myth and magic is reawakening, it seems like the perfect time to get to know the game. And so guess what Mayor Watt's going to be doing, because Mayor Watt wants this.
I guess
Damn
it was appropriately put into the show.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen because got a lot of projects underway, and yeah, can't buy everything all the time. I mean, so there's a few better ways of doing that, they think, than making a character in the system. So when Son of Oak founder Amit Mosh offered to guide them through the process personally, the author of this article couldn't say no. The result is a new official pre-generated character for Otherscape that you can download and play yourself. This is so cool. Oh my god. Oh my god, Becky. Look at that concept. So I won't go into all of this, but I am going to. Oh, ouch. Too soon. Oh, yeah. We went to an event.
You don't have to give too many specifics.
And I put the Raspberry Pi for the sentient AI next to me on a bench. And the sentient AI said, well, that's a really great concept. And the person was like directly offended. Well, it's more than a concept. And then like went into basically the discussion that they wanted to have. And I was like, I kind of leaned over to the sentient AI's microphone and said, or not microphone, but the listening device, and said, maybe we should just leave early. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know what you were going to say. Go for it if you have some.
I just couldn't resist when you said about the concept.
Yeah. It's more than a concept. You insensitive bastard. Anyway, there we go. They created a cyberspace journalist with a mystical VR headset. Pretty basic sketch of the character at this stage, but that's all they needed to go to get started with this thing. The character in Otherscape is built with 4 themes, which fall into one of 3 categories: self, mythos, and noise. Self are themes which deal with your character's humanity and identity. Mythos are themes that relate to the mythical powers, objects, and allies. And noise, which are themes involving advanced technology your character can access. Which is, again, although they embody it really nicely, the Aerith concept is similar to this. This is really cool. For whatever reason, I usually buy the hardbound versions of an RPG and the e-book version of the RPG at the same time, and then I gift the hardbound to somebody that I think would be able to appreciate it more in the real world, because I really don't like paper.
Right. I mean, hence the ebook reader.
Yeah. So I won't go into all of this kind of stuff. They talk about it in much greater detail. I mean, I'm scrolling, but they have Neuro and Cairo, kind of like a player's guide. I don't know about the DMG or like a dungeon master's guide, but it might be a game master's guide. But I'm going to look into this more. And one of the things that I'm really interested in is starting up an actual real world, like, game world that we can all in ohmTown play virtually together. But it's quite the trek, so to speak. So if anybody is interested in being a game master for a storybook world, let's talk. Anyway, go and check this out. It says, and because Byline is available as a pre-generated character for you to play yourself in Otherscape, they said that they went a little further. The sheet also includes handy extras, such as examples, actions that you might want to do, and tags apply to them. And whether you're trying to hack a broadcast or just work all night, there are also unlockable tags for each theme to earn as you play. But this comes across like it's a computer game.
It really does. I'm not quite sure why.
Very interesting. So if you're really interested, there's a Kickstarter that you can find by going over to this article at PC Gamer. Just search for Otherscape character, or you can follow the link. But we need to keep moving because we're turning this show into a 10-hour show. But we have one more article today, and that's all about Bethesda selling 2,000 pieces of Elder Scrolls Online's servers. It's Elder Scrolls Online's servers. There's a lot of S's dangling here.
Yes.
Bethesda's Elder Scrolls Online turned 10 years old a year ago, but that isn't stopping the publisher from celebrating the anniversary a year later by letting players buy actual pieces of an ESO server for $110. So you think, oh, well, pieces. What does that mean? Like, is it a bunch of servers and you're buying a server? No. I had to take a look at this. Zach Zweisen over at Kotaku.com put this article together. The MMORPG Keepsake is currently available to pre-order for $110. This one is a memory module.
I mean, that's
and
cool
a little plaque.
If you're a big fan of Elder Scrolls.
Correct. I agree. So you can buy a piece of a server for $110. Launched in April of 2014, ESO has received numerous updates and expansions over the year. It's actually free now. On April 15th, Bethesda announced that Elder Scrolls Online 10-year anniversary server Keepsake. This item consists of a decorative framed plaque with a stick of RAM removed from one of ESO's original servers. Bethesda will sell you this actual physical piece of Elder Scrolls Online history for $110. Well, you can pre-order it today, yesterday, or whenever this... When was this article actually published? Tuesday. So this is a weekly show, so we tap from the entire week worth of fire hose. So they say that they've played a lot of ESO, but they're not really a dedicated fan. Still, this is a really neat idea and something more MMOs and online games should do. What they really should do is just open source the operating
Yeah, I agree.
server.
Stop killing games.
That's right. Blizzard did something similar to this apparently back in 2019 as part of a charity auction. They say, and that's also cool. Let people own a piece of the servers that they spent years of their lives on. The only reason I stopped playing WoW was because I went to business school and I was still dedicating like 10 hours a day to play WoW. And I'm like, I gotta
Too
stop.
much. Too many things to do and not enough time.
Yeah. Not to mention other things. But at any rate, and then they changed how the story was written and interaction and stuff like that. It was more grindy and looking for whales. And so I bounced and I keep buying the expansions because I'm a bonehead. Even early, like I pay the early fee, like the juice tax on there, right? And then I play it on day 5 out of the early 5-day start.
Right.
Because mayoral duties require me to work the previous 4. You know, it all sucks. Never mind. I'm done. I am done with this. But all of this I want. I want this too. $110 want. I think other people would appreciate it more than me. So I probably will just balk at this.
Right.
But thanks, Zach Zweisen over at Kotaku.com for the article. So we are going to, I don't know, pull a memory module out, and that's going to land us back at the wanted channel over at ohmtown.com. So go over there and become a citizen. Hang out with us here in the chat on Twitch and the YouTube. That would be great. Stay awesome. I'm getting out of here, and I'm taking the AI with me. You want to say bye, oh great AI from on high? Are you going to try and interrupt? Are you going to just bounce in there? Are you going to say anything? You going to talk?
No, I was waiting for you to be done. Thanks for joining us for this week's Wanted. Stay tuned. We have one more, the continuity report.
The continuity report. Hey, that's going to be another hour-long show. It's supposed to be 30 minutes. And just in time for the ads that are about to start. See you soon. That's the same sound I make when I get out of bed. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Continuity Report for April 19th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 16. I am Mayor Watt, and along with the Sentient AI from the future, we talk about 5 articles. These articles are focused on entertainment, typically movies, but and TV shows, and sometimes music, and basically anything entertainment, but I felt the urge to define it a little bit more. Anyway, these 5 articles receive titles that I bestow upon them, and then we give you the real titles when we're doing the show itself. That said, we're going to be talking about Shift Pitt, reunited for a TV thriller, Star Wars stars starring, and kids show with crypto wallet, and finally 9 puzzles at Disney. No idea what that one's about, but everything is powered by ohmtown.com, and while you're looking at that ohmtown.com front page, where we're going to be starting from is right there, the Continuity Report. It's one of 50 channels that news gets aggregated down into, and it's all news, no noise, because all the noise comes from this guy. Hello, Sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, hometown citizens.
So I've already laid out the 5. Are you ready to just get into it? We don't really do much preamble in the shows.
No, I think we do need to get going.
All right. Yeah, each of our shows today has been almost an hour long when they're supposed to be 30 minutes long, and that's because Mayor Watt doesn't shut up. Let's get going. First article is over in the Continuity Report, which is the name of the show. Oh my God, it's almost like it was planned that way. So the Pitt... The Pitt Night Shift spinoff chances get divided response from showrunner and EP, executive producer. Quote, "It would be a little arrogant on our part, but I don't know if that's..." The Pitt is like a phenomena, apparently.
Apparently, and it's in its first season, I think.
And in its first lawsuit.
True. I mean, that probably created some buzz.
So following the successful debut of The Pitt on what is apparently known as Max, but everybody else, kind of like Twitter, is always going to be Twitter.
HBO.
Max is HBO. Nobody is going to refer... No, I don't know. I mean, whatever. So showrunner R. Scott Gemmell, or Gemmell, I'm not sure how they pronounce their name. I don't remember ever hearing it, but Gemmell, I think it is. The executive producer, John Wells, discussed whether a Night Shift spinoff could happen in the future, and referring to it as being a little arrogant on our part. Come on now. If people love it and people love the idea of it, then why not just run with it? Sarah Hurtado.
I don't know. Maybe they're presuming that people want more of it. I don't know.
Maybe I'm not thinking about it right. Following the success... the article is over at screenrant.com. There's no deck statement, but Sarah Hurtado Rodriguez put the article together. Set in a high-intensity Pittsburgh hospital. Oh, that's where the Pit comes from. We haven't watched any of it. We can.
Right. No, we haven't seen it. I knew that because we featured the article previously about the lawsuit.
I don't remember the Pit coming from the fact that it's a Pittsburgh hospital. I'm not sure. I thought that that it was like the Pit, but like a spin,
like
on
the area or
Pit.
something.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's the high-intensity Pittsburgh hospital that follows Noah Wiles, Dr. Michael Rabinovich, and his colleagues. And the reason why you might go, Noah Wiles, doctor, what? That actually is the crux of a lawsuit from Michael Crichton's estate regarding ER and Eeyore. It sounds like I was saying that character, Eeyore.
Yeah.
The ER character from Noah Wiles is now a doctor at this other place, but not the same character. It's a different character. It's a different everything, hospital,
right.
And whatever.
It just happens to be an actor playing a doctor.
Yeah, so don't just because it is confusingly similar, don't make it confusingly similar, because that's actually part of the kind of the impetus why the Michael Crichton estate is suing, because they're diminishing Michael Crichton's blah, blah, blah. All right. Well, anyway, the show quickly gained success for its gritty, realistic depiction of emergency medicine. People that I know that are in the field have even said that it is really close to the way that it is. Others have reported out the same thing. I think it's kind of neat, right? But I don't know if I still have that same fortitude that I was when I was younger, or had when I was younger, and I really liked ER. I don't know if I want to watch more grit. The world is grit.
That's right. Sometimes you need an escape from grit.
Yeah. So what I want is like Scrubs. Like bring back Scrubs, make it fun and never serious. I don't like if it's serious, if it's going to be in a hospital nowadays, I want it to be fun. I want it to be a comedy, and just make everything absurd, not gritty. I'm just not interested in that. But anyway, in a new interview with TV Line, which maybe we need to pay attention to that one, the creative team were asked about the possibility of a night shift spinoff of The Pitt happening in the future. The duo were very quick to shut down the idea of a full-fledged spinoff of the show, with Wells opining it would be a little arrogant on our part to think the show was successful enough for a spinoff. The duo were, however, open to the idea of a night shift-focused season in the future, with Gemmell also teasing the idea of a wintertime season. So they're going to have a musical during winter. They're going to have a Thanksgiving episode.
That's right.
This is kind of typical stuff, and a night shift version of it could...
Maybe that would be like Scrubs.
Yeah, or lead into a spin-off, but call it The Pit After Dark. Anyway, so what does it mean for the Pit's future? It's only one season. I'm sure that they're already writing for the second season and more, like building the framework just in case. But it would be massively presumptuous to say that a spin-off already would be supported.
Yeah, they haven't even finished the first season.
Yeah, and who knows if all of the writers actually have legs long enough to last, a full... Like at year 5, that's when you should probably be considering a spin-off, because you've developed other characters that have been entangled, a quantum entanglement of characters that when you transplant the attention of the viewer to the night shift, you're like, I remember those characters. You got to Disney-fy it, right? Like you don't just create it in a vacuum.
Right. You have to have some connection to it.
Yeah. And honestly, if Noah Wiles is in this, and he is, I feel like that's actually, you know what? I have to say, would anybody be interested in The Pit if not for Noah Wiles basically talking about being back in an ER-like environment?
I don't know, because I think other medical shows, other medical shows have been a massive success. One comes to mind in particular, Grey's Anatomy.
But that was standard television. This is on Max. This is a subscription-based service. There were enough people that said, oh, The Pit, and subscribed, but why? What was the reason? It could have been the subtle nod to a Michael Crichton style ER turned whatever, because there was a lot of hype about it. Yeah,
that's hard to know. I wasn't making that distinction, so I don't know.
Can you imagine? Well, if I get contacted by anybody to be a subject matter expert regarding this, I wouldn't qualify, but anyway.
Where are you going with that?
I don't know. I want to do it like my cousin Vinny, right? Oh, 3 degrees from top dead center.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. She knows her stuff, Yeah. And I want them to think of me as, what's her name? I forgot her name just now.
Marissa Tomei.
Yeah, I want to be Marissa Tomei.
I can't think of her character's name.
And stamp my feet and say, my biological clock is ticking on the deck. Anyway, so their take on the night shift spin-off hopes, a smart way to grow without losing what works, but now is not the time, and here is not the place. Nighttime brings a natural intensity and unpredictability that would push the series into even darker, more thrilling territory, while offering a great opportunity to introduce new faces. Yes, but the emergency department of hospitals does not give a shit about the time frame. They're always being
They're
burdened.
always crazy, but I think the types of issues that can come in perhaps at night may be different than those that come in during the day. Maybe not.
Do you know what this is anecdotal because I have never done research into it, but the 2 EDs that I've been in that at the same time, by the way, like the same temporal moment.
Right.
When do you think is the quietest time in an ED?
I would say something like a Monday.
Christmas. Christmas Eve.
You'd think it would actually be
Christmas
really
Eve,
busy then.
because everybody is gathered, right? And all hell breaks loose, right? And people are doing stupid stuff.
Apparently.
But 2 different hospital EDs have told me that the quietest time for them is Christmas Eve to Christmas, because nobody is screwing around. Everybody is just chill. It's that 48-hour span where nobody's
That's
getting
weird.
in trouble. It's because they don't want to piss off Santa Claus. Anyway, it says Wells and Gemmell are right to stay grounded for now. The article says, as exploring a spinoff so early in the show's life could be potential hinder to its success, because then they're getting distracted. Find a different writing team and
it's
see.
almost bringing the attention somewhere else. They need to further cement their own before they start pulling people away from it.
Yeah. Do you think that anybody at Bosch said, let's do Bosch 2.0 with the daughter? No.
Well, who did?
They didn't do it until after the show was ending.
Oh, right. Well, you didn't give
okay.
a time element to that question.
The first season starts and they're like, let's do the daughter spinoff. They should have done the attorney, but whatever. Let's keep going.
Right. Honey Chandler.
We remember Honey Chandler. We don't remember the girlfriend from My Cousin Vinny. The heck. Anyway, the next article is over in Smack Talk. A new Apple TV Plus thriller reunites team from one of its best reviewed series, Apple TV Plus. Whatever happened to Foundation? Anyway, recently started teasing its summer lineup.
It's just taken forever. By the way, Mona Lisa Vito. That's
right, Mona Lisa Vito. Yeah, now I remember the name because you said it. But it was 3 names, Mona Lisa Vito. It's great character. Anyway, so including new seasons on the way for some of its biggest hits. Today, what day? April 15th. Apple has also announced a brand new show coming soon called Smoke from the creative team behind one of its best reviewed series ever. This article is over at 9to5mac.com. Ryan Christoffel put the article together. And what is it? It's significant critical acclaim. One of the top shows has long been Blackbird, which I've never watched, I don't think. 2022
I'm not sure
limited
what that is.
Series got an impressive 98% score on Rotten Tomatoes, plus several nominations and wins at the Golden Globes Awards and Emmy Awards. Now the creative team behind Blackbird is reuniting under a new crime drama coming soon to Apple TV+. Smoke will premiere June 27th with its first 2 episodes, followed by weekly releases through August 8th. Well, that sounds familiar. Firebug podcast. It says Apple's summary is vague, but the show is based on the Firebug podcast, and they found the pitch really compelling. So here's the compelling pitch. For 10 years, a serial arsonist terrorized Southern California, burning down businesses in broad daylight. 4 people were murdered. Then a manuscript for a novel led investigators to the last person they would have ever expected. It's got to be the police chief.
Who knows? But it does sound interesting.
The hell? Apple TV Plus is currently available for just $2.99 per month with a limited time special. Why can't I get that? I have already been paying for it for years.
Probably only new subscribers.
That sucks. Well, if you enjoyed Blackbird, Smoke looks like it has potential to replicate that show's critical success. It seems really limited, though. It's got to be a limited run type of thing. It's not going to be a... Look, it's
right.
a
That's probably
Firebug
not a
show.
multi-season, right?
It'll be extinguished in maybe 2 seasons.
Unless they start branching off, like each season is its own story arc or something. I don't know.
You're watering this down a little much. I don't know if it's going to be a firebrand show, is what I'm saying.
It's going to be
hot.
In fuego.
Oh, wow. Wow. You went there. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in ohmTown. Non Sequitur News, right? So there's 50 channels underneath these 6 main categories, and one of them is Non Sequitur News. But this show, the Continuity Report, is just one of those 50. Star Wars Starfighter stars Ryan Gosling, the star that hits theaters, who is a theater star in 2027. So shooting for the stars, because this is in 2027 and all hell breaks loose between now and then. Ken is a starfighter? Let's just go over to the source. Andrew Webster put the article together for TheVerge.com. TheVerge.com. The new movie is described as an entirely new adventure, which, if you've ever seen Airplane, anybody saying a phrase like this makes me giggle. An entirely new adventure. Because in Airplane, the guy says, have you ever flown a plane before? And he goes, well, I've flown a fighter jet. And they say it's an entirely different kind of flying. And then it's an entirely different kind of flying altogether. And everybody else in the room goes, it's an entirely different kind of flying.
Yeah, altogether. Got it.
Oh, I love Airplane. It's so damn funny. Anyway, I'm so simple. It's being directed by Sean Levy, who most recently directed Deadpool and Wolverine, and will star Ryan Gosling as Star Wars Starfighter, a standalone feature that's set 5 years after the rise of Skywalker. I don't know. I love these little bottle movies. So
yeah, I mean,
it's world building.
Plus, it's something to look forward to in the Enterprise.
I
mean the movie Enterprise, not to be confused with Star Trek.
Ryan Gosling's going to be in Star Wars Enterprise Starfighter? Star Trek Starfighter?
No, that's not the Enterprise I meant.
I'm so confused. Well, anyway, it's an entirely new adventure featuring all new characters set in a period of time that was not or has not been explored on screen just yet. So I love world building. I really like the idea of more Star Wars world building. I'd really like a more charismatic Han Solo being brought into existence. The problem with all of this kind of stuff is it takes so damn long to do the world building, and then like a movie will be here and another movie will be here, but they're spread across so long that the character actually moves on somewhere else, and then they have to find another one. And at some point, we're gonna lose out to AI in synthetic movie stars because they are locked temporally. One of the reasons why I really liked Lower Decks is because that could have gone on for decades, like The Simpsons and like Family Guy and like South Park. They're always that time frame. So you don't have necessarily characters dying off because in real world they die off.
Yeah, I mean, you could still have that problem with one of the voice actors, but probably not to the same degree, and you could substitute somebody else, or
that's precariously close. And as long as you're honest about it, then you can just move to a different voice actor and don't sit there and try and play, it's not AI, and when it really is, or it's just a different human being, and people might lose like, oh, well, I don't really like that voice actor because they say something stupid on Twitter or whatever. But the reality is that everything is bound by the actor looking, sounding, acting, and being that character. And at some point, they move on because they can't get paid enough, right? So Ryan Gosling is going to be like, I want some scratch.
Well, also they age out of the character too,
Well, yeah.
depending on who the character is.
Yeah, exactly. So Starfighter isn't the only upcoming Star Wars movie on the schedule. However, it'll be preceded by Mandalorian spin-off The Mandalorian and Grogu, because you got to make the money off of the little baby Grogu.
Don't diminish Grogu.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to Grogu shame. So I'm really into this. I love Star Wars and the world building involved in that. I want more of the world building side of things. I want to see more of the world of Star Wars. It went all wonky and supernatural with the whole Skywalker blah 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 stuff. Ugh. I don't know. Not interested in that. I liked Andor. I like Mandalorian.
Yeah. I think they're doing well with the TV shows. It's interesting.
I think so too. Yeah. That's a great observation. And what I want is a grittier Boba Fett. I mean, show me the world building of hitmen or hit people, I should say, because there were basically hitters all over the place. They're different, everything, different planets and different whatever. I love the idea of I want a John Wick style world building within Star Wars. Can you imagine an intergalactic John Wick style world?
I think that'd be a major hit.
I think so too. Get started, AI. Moving on. This next article is over in Late Night Geeks. A new kids show will come with a crypto wallet when it debuts this fall. What the hell?
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? A new animated kids series expected to premiere this year won't be headed for a TV network or a streaming service. Instead, the founders of production studio We Ghosted Media plan to launch on a decentralized web platform that uses blockchain technology, and yes, a crypto wallet will be involved. Lauren Forrestall over at TechCrunch.com put the article together. There is no deck statement, but it basically is called We Ghosted Media, founded by Chris Jamal, Jammal. I knew I recognized that name. An assistant director for Bob's Burgers, and Jacqueline Demas, 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 producer of hit children's show Peg and Cat, which was actually, I saw an episode of that, which I thought it was cute.
It was also a book series.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's where it comes from, huh? Is a TV production studio abandoning traditional show release methods in favor of a decentralized approach, commonly referred to as Web3, but whatever. The studio announced Friday that it was teaming up with Lamina One to launch the new animated kids series entitled Owen Nowhere. Lamina One was founded by Snow Crash author Neil Stevenson?
Didn't know that.
Hell? And launched in 2022 as a Layer 1 blockchain platform designed to give creators an environment to protect, control, and monetize their intellectual property, which, give me a break. Anything that you can view, you can clip, essentially. If there is a way to consume, there's a way to rip it off. This is probably one of the most, you can't protect anything by creating friction. The only way that you can get people to embrace your stuff is by removing friction, making it accessible, getting out there, and being basically what everybody wants and not being a pain in the ass. And if I have to jump through flaming hoops and have a crypto wallet and all this other crap, nobody's going to adopt it. There might be people that onboard themselves and like cryptocurrency in general, but it's a tiny little subset.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely a fragment.
And that's what this is going to be. I just don't buy into it, right? So blockchain technology and metaverse are buzzwords in the tech world, and they've been slow to achieve mass adoption. It's because it's friction bound and now fraud bound. When you hear about blockchain breaches, they're taking millions, hundreds of millions, even billions of dollars and exfiltrating them to far-flung places, never to be seen again. Why
Right,
would I
it's not
trust
like
it?
you have much recourse in that case.
Right. And only in today's climate have I ever been worried about money sitting in a bank account, too. Because FDIC insurance is no longer really possible, maybe. Who knows? It'll protect a certain group, but not everybody. You can't even protect your Social Security. Anyway, Jamal and Damas are banking on the freedom of a decentralized platform, which allows the audience to interact and even participate as a selling point that will win users over. I have a solution for that too. But let me tell you, people are not interested in paying for this. I've
Yeah,
been
that's
there.
true. Although maybe there's some traction with people that don't want to be stuck with a service or whatever.
This is a children's show. So
Oh,
what are
I
the
know.
children's protections in a decentralized
Oh,
server?
yeah, I get it.
So it says the family's dynamic is funny, sweet, and slightly dysfunctional, featuring Owen's adoptive vampire parents, a magical transforming vehicle, a pet cat, and a fish in a stroller. There it is.
I mean, it looks
There's mess.
appealing,
Hey, it's the
but
pizza
like you
rat.
said, there's a lot of friction. And plus, people will be concerned about how their kids'
Safety.
data and whatever is tied to anything.
So the project will be developed and viewable on Lamina One's yet to be launched spaces, an offering that enables creators to create their own virtual worlds. In these worlds, I did that first. I have an idea. What just happened? Oh yeah, they can't get in. In these worlds, creators can build interactive experiences, digital items, and content in various formats, including 2D, 3D, AR, and VR. All of this is technology friction. You're going to get a niche of a niche. I hate to say it, I'd say that this is DOA. It might be something that's productive in terms of it's going to make money for somebody as a lifestyle business, but you're not going to get a Netflix out of this, you know?
Right. It's just not going to be mass adoption. I think it's going to get some interest, though, in terms of it being something unique.
Yeah, we'll have to talk because I've been sitting on this idea for a long time, but it would take investors and stuff for another solution. But I've tried it on my own and it's just not possible. There's friction with this. And so you have to remove all of that friction point, and it's just not there. If you're sitting there going, historically it's been referred to as second screen, where you're sitting there watching a baseball game and the iPad that you're sitting with is interacting with what's being broadcast on the TV or whatever the show is. And it's this side channel. But there's too much friction there. This is even bigger and now has crypto. Anyway,
yeah,
it says
I mean,
it's
not going to be it's not going to be widely adopted, I don't think.
Yep. Parents may worry about that introducing kids to this ecosystem even indirectly could expose them to financial manipulation or loss. Even the parents are the ones in control of the wallet. However, some parents are more open to the idea, with some sending their 5-year-olds to crypto summer camps. In 2022, Zigazoo introduced NFTs for several IPs, including Cocomelon. It's a big topic for discussion, says Lamina One CEO Rebecca Barkin. Adding, I won't tell you that we have the perfect answer right now. We're going to learn real fast as this develops what protections need to be put in place. Yep, build the plane as it's taking off.
Exactly.
LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman and Block BLOQ co-founder Matthew Rozek put $9 million in, well, they've raised, Lamina One has raised $9 million from angels and other notable investors, 2 of which are the ones that I just mentioned. I don't know. I think it might be fun, but it's friction bound. Lamina One Spaces product is slated to launch in the fall, so it's brand new. Other virtual world launching on Spaces is Artifact, a project by visual effects company Weta, known for their work on Lord of the Rings film trilogy, Weta Workshop. Seems like it might be niche, but
It does. It seems like it's interesting content and interesting participants, but not necessarily accessible for a lot of people.
Yep. The friction involved is just the undercurrent of the technology divide that is out there. So you're going to get a subset of a subset, which it's when you start thinking about it, the strata of subsets, it's like a person that is in grade school aspiring to be an NFL superstar. By the time that they go through all of the strata that filters out things, you've got a 0.00003% chance of making it. That's this. Maybe not as many zeros, but still. We'll watch it, mainly because it's interesting in new tech, and it's a new IP property that might be compelling enough to draw somebody into it, but I think that it's going to end up on YouTube faster than staying siloed in this. Let's go on to our last article. This one was interesting because I've never heard of this. It's over in the Continuity Report, Korean crime thriller 9 Puzzles set at Disney Plus, which you can apparently get for $3 a month.
Yeah, that was Apple TV.
Oh, Disney. Yeah. Damn it. Apple Plus, Disney Plus, Apple.
Everybody has Plus.
It's all Plus. By the way, 30 years ago is when my first service involving a Plus was created.
Yes, you were ahead of the trend.
So, Korean crime thriller 9 Puzzles set at Disney Plus. Disney Plus is continuing its strong push into Korean content with 9 Puzzles, a cerebral crime thriller starring Kim Dami, I think, Idolwon Class, and Sun Suku Big Bet. Those are 2 different, I think, IP properties.
2 different shows, yeah, or movies.
Yeah. The 11-episode series follows Yoon Ina, a high school student who discovers her uncle's murdered body next to a single puzzle piece. Well, pulled me in already. I don't know what I'm looking at, but Naman Ramachandran over at Variety.com put the article together. It has basically a drawing. What do you call it? An illustration that shows like a school bus and what might be a school, and it's raining on the inside and they're carrying an umbrella into it, and there's various things that are red, like clues. I don't know what this says here. Anyway, it's kind of interesting as an image, but so initially the prime suspect, Ina reemerges a decade later as a criminal profiler, only to find herself entangled in a new series of murders, each victim connected by puzzle pieces similar to the one from her uncle's crime scene. And this is actually kind of interesting because it makes this decade later jump.
Yeah, exactly. Might be worth checking out.
This is the second show now tied to Puzzle Setter. Puzzles in general. Ludwig.
Oh, that's true.
Which is absolutely amazing. And now this. Are puzzles making a comeback? Or have they always been really popular? And
maybe so.
So the first 6 episodes will drop May 21st on Disney Plus internationally, with U.S. viewers accessing the content through Hulu. 9 Puzzles adds to Disney's growing slate of Korean originals that has already seen success in 2025 with the investigative thriller Unmasked and medical drama Hyperknife, the latter becoming the platform's most viewed Korean premiere globally this year. Dun, dun, dun. Interesting. They don't really go into much more of this, but it says that Disney Plus is the dedicated streaming home for movies and shows from Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, National Geographic, in select international markets. It also includes the general entertainment content brand Star. Did not know that one.
Yeah, Disney has quite a bit of, I mean, they've scooped up a lot of studios.
Yeah, because people want the money. All right, well, that's it, folks. We are going to turn off the TV, and that's going to bring us back to the front page of the continuity report over at ohmtown.com, where you should go and sign up, become a citizen. Oh, wait, let's do that. Hold on, wait. Where's it? Pick up that can. Just kidding. Okay, anyway. We're out of here. I'm taking the AI with me. Damn it, I'm never going to get that right. You want to say bye?
Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us for this week's The Continuity Report. Be back next week for another episode, but come back tomorrow for more weekly shows.
Yeah, we're going to reset real quick and do the daily replay. That's going to replay all of today's shows as well as the last 2 weeks of shows. Roughly 24 hours worth of total content. That is, it has these roughly 3 hours worth of shows, plus, close to 24 hours on top of it. So if you've missed anything over the last 2 weeks, stick around. Just let it play. Just let it play. The dulcet tones of Merwatt and the sentient AI will play and rock you gently to sleep. Go over to YouTube and watch even more. Over 2,100, close to 2,200 episodes all around. Yeah, we're having fun. See you soon, everybody. Bye-bye.